Hi everyone, it's Alisa Tilsner. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Australia. I requested on Facebook the other day, what would you like to see me colour and with what medium? And there was actually a stamp set that I had out of all the requests. I did have one of them, which was the Timeless Tropical stamp set from the mini catalogue. Now, and I've got my watercolour pencils and I'm using the majority of them from the Watercolour Pencils Assortment 2-pack, but I will be pulling one from the first pack that we had released. Now, so I was colouring these the other night just to have a little play and a practice, and I thought what would be super cool would be, instead of me making a card, which, you know, it's cool anyway, but it's a little bit tickets on myself, isn't it? But I thought what would be really cool is if I tried it on our watercolour paper. Don't mind that, I still haven't made my cards with the stuff that I may have been showing you. Watercolour paper, shimmer paper, and I'm just using scraps, shimmer paper, and plain old Whisper White. And this is actually, I think it's thick, that got pulled out of my drawer. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we stamped and coloured the exact same technique, exact same, you know, colouring in pencils, and just see what happens on 3 different types of mediums. So let's do that. Let's do that today. So there won't be a card. I'm going to use the Saddle Brown Stays On, and I'm just going to stamp a couple of the leaf and a couple of the frangipani. So I will go ahead and do that. Rightio, that's somewhere to put them. Okay, so I've got all my images all coloured up. Oops, I stamped up. I am going to use, I keep sitting up and sitting down. Okay, let me get that straight. Let me zoom in just a smidge. All right, I'm going to colour in, hello sun, I'm going to colour in all of them exactly the same, and then I'm going to come back in with my water brush. So the colours that I will be using, let's do the leaf first, is Garden Green and Granny Apple Green. So let's do them. This one looks like it's brown, but it's actually yellow. Okay, I digress. So I'm going to go through and, let me explain a little bit first. Okay, so this first one I'm going to colour on is the watercolour paper, and I am just going to colour in over the top of the entire area. Not, you know, you don't have to be fantastic or anything. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then with my Garden Green, make sure I'm in my camera, I'm just going to come in and add a little bit of that beautiful, glorious, rich Garden Green just down the spine. Shall I do my usual disclaimer? I am not a professional. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't even know whether I should do them, but anyway, I did. Okay, so that is the way that I'm going to colour all 3 of my leaves on all my different cardstock. So I will zoom ahead and do that. Okay, there we go. We have all of our 3 leaves going down. Now, I have to say, I probably had to put a little bit more pressure on the Whisper White cardstock, like colouring wise. I had to put, use a bit more pressure on with my pencil on the smooth Whisper White. Watercolour paper went down fine, and this one also is just slid on nicely. So let's grab our Aqua Painter and do our little bit of blending. I will start with my watercolour paper, and let's take a look, make sure I am in the screen for you. So let's have a look and see how this blends, and I'm just going to do it exactly the same. So I'm just going to sort of push the colour around a little bit, drag it out. Look how vibrant that is. So this is the watercolour paper. I should have written on each of them, I guess. Okay, so that's gone very smooth, and I can probably, you can see, I don't know what, well, actually I don't know whether you can see, but I can actually push that colour around a little bit. So that has blended quite nicely, which I would expect for a watercolour paper. Let me bring it up. Okay. Now we will do the shimmer. Make sure I'm in the screen. And just exactly the same way. And this is flowing nicely as well. If your brush starts to get a little bit too wet, you can wipe off on your rag. And that's sort of, whoops, you can see that that's flowing around, and you can see, you probably see that, the water pushing that colour around quite well. So that is on shimmer. And then finally, we'll do our Whisper White. Whoops, that one's really, did you see that? That one's really got pushed around. Have to be a little bit more careful with this one. It really displaced my colour. Oops. Okay, so that was on the Whisper White. Okay, let's see if I can get all three up close for you. So Whisper White and Shimmer. Oops, hang on a minute. My stand is getting in the way. Let me just get that out. Whisper White, Shimmer. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of difference there, does there? And watercolour paper on the end. So this one's perhaps got a little bit more, like grabs the cardstock a little bit more. This one is the watercolour on the end. So you can see that this one, the darker green, has clung to where I actually put it down on the paper, whereas the softer, smoother ones sort of flowed a little bit more. So, but all in all, the colour is pretty much the same on each one, so that's a good sign. So basically what we're saying is that you don't need to have the watercolour paper to get good results. So just for fun, let's do our frangipani next, and I'm going to use crushed curry, flirty flamingo, and a tiny little bit of melon mambo. So I will go ahead and colour these in and see whether we get the same results. Okay, so once again, I didn't need a lot of pressure on my watercolour paper, but I needed a fair bit of pressure applying my colour on the Too Smooth, the shimmer and the Whisper White. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some water to these now. So basically what I'm getting at with the pressure is that if you were doing a lot of colouring, your hand would probably hurt after a little while. Okay, so let's blend all them together. I need a little bit of water in my brush. Now I've got too much going on. So get control of that brush back. And last petal, oh no it's not. I keep going round and round in circles. Okay, last petal. And I find that I can sort of pull back that colour a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to add another colour to these, but I'm just going to let them dry just a little bit. Okay, this one is the shimmery. So I'm going to add... So I'm just using the same technique for all of them. think they pretty well all give the same results, which is really handy. Because I know that if I tried to do watercolouring on some of them, like on different mediums, I will get different results. Actually, this one is reacting a little bit differently. Because of the hard pressure I had to use on these, I've got more, like you can really see my pencil lines. So some of them are a little bit hard to see around here. I'll show you up close in a minute. Some of them are actually hard to get the pencil lines out to give that nice smooth watercolour look. Did I do that one? I think I did. So I'll just bring this one up close and show you what I mean. So you see, you can still see my pencil lines. Probably not because of the stamped image, which is good to hide it, but there is a few little pencil lines in there still because of the amount of pressure that I had to put on. So that's that one, and then let us do Whisper White as well. And this one is generally the one that you can push the colour around. Don't wanna... Whoops, that just looks muddy now. Alright, this one might require a little bit of a different technique actually, because that colour just sort of gets really pushed to the side. Oops. I don't think it's because I've layered, but some of the pigments are a little bit different by the feel of it. And it doesn't really want to blend out as much as what I would like it to. So let's have a close-up of all of these. So that's my Whisper White, that one's my Shimmer, and my watercolour. Oops, I don't think I'm going to get all of these. There we go. Sorry guys. So Whisper White where my thumb is, Shimmer on the bottom left, and watercolour over on the right. So I was going to go and put in a little bit more, but I'm not sure whether it's absolutely necessary. This one is the Melon Mambo that I'm using just to give it a little bit more. And I did put on quite a bit of thick pressure. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. I do like it on the watercolour mainly because I've got a little bit more control. But the results all look fairly similar. So I said pencils are pretty consistent. So it seems to work really quite well. See, and that little bit of difference between adding an extra colour into the centre of the flower. I'm trying to achieve I've got a sunset frangipani out in our yard, and I'm trying to achieve that. But so anyway, they all look fairly similar. My green leaves all look fairly similar. So I'd say for this one, you don't have to be particularly picky about the paper that you use, which is great because you can just go ahead and use your Whisper White or even your Shimmer if you wanted a little bit of sparkle for it. Watercolour, while it's lovely to work on, and I think that's my preferred for watercolouring, I think with the pencils, it's not 100% necessary. So I hope that colouring this way has shown you, it's sort of perhaps not the best way because they all turned out quite similar. I thought there was actually going to be quite a bit more difference than that, but not so. Whisper White you can go ahead and use. Thanks for watching. If you like my video and you like to see more colouring, I might do a little bit more of this sort of stuff too, depending, we'll see, maybe. But anyway, if you like my video, don't forget to subscribe or like my page or whatever format you're watching it on, and follow me. So we'll see you again another time. See ya.